Hi, this is Brett from SRmoto, and I wanted to do a quick update video, talk a little bit about some of the modifications we've done on our Honda CRF450L project bikes. Specifically, I wanted to talk about handguards, the handguard upgrades we've made, handlebars, mirrors, grips, stuff like that. We've already got one video on the channel that talked about the handguards that we initially installed on the bike, so this is kind of an update to that video. Real quick, I'll just mention our websites. Our online store is at soloracer.com. If you go there, navigate to the Honda CRF450L parts section, you'll find all the parts that I talk about in this video. You'll also find the two project bikes that we're working on, the Dual Sport and the Supermoto project bike. And then we also have a blog, which is at SRmoto.com. If you go there, just more photos and details on some of the project bikes. It'll also link you over to the online store. What we've got here is this is our Honda CRF450L Dual Sport project bike. This is the second bike that we bought, and we're going to set this one up as an off-road bike, mostly off-road bike that will ride a little bit on the street here and there. This one is pretty much brand new. We haven't done a lot to it yet. We just got it, so it doesn't have a lot of stuff done to it. Then we also have the first CRF450L that we bought, which we do have converted over to a Supermoto. This one we've got a few more things done to it, and we've kind of set them up a little differently. Obviously one's going to be ridden mostly on the street, the other one's going to be ridden mostly off-road. So the upgrades that I talk about here today, you'll notice we kind of did it a little different on each bike. One more off-road oriented, the other more street oriented. I'll start with the Dual Sport bike. That last video we did for handguards, we were running our CRF450L Pro handguard package, and that's what we still have on this bike. And what this is the Zeta Pro Armor handguards. And on this bike, we're running the titanium silver aluminum handguard, and it's got the black plastic bumpers attached to the outside of it. We're using the triple clamp mounts, the Zeta top triple clamp mounts, side mount style. That comes with the handguard package. And then I talked a little bit about, on the last video, the inserts on these Pro handguards are kind of an upgraded insert that goes into the end of the handlebar, a little bit stronger than what comes on the standard Zeta Armor handguards. I think better for this type of bike. So that's kind of the main part of the handguard itself. Optionally, we've added on the Zeta XC plastic protectors, which just screw to the front of the handguard. We've done the red plastic on this bike. You can get them in a couple different colors. You can get white, black, red, blue, green. They come in all different colors, and those just screw right to the front of the handguard. One other optional thing on this bike you'll notice is we've removed the stock front turn signals, which used to be mounted there, and we're doing the optional LED turn signals you can get with the Zeta handguards. Something we do on a lot of the bikes here. Just kind of nice to remove those stock turn signals that stick out and are a little bit more vulnerable to damage. They seem to be pretty durable in where they're actually mounted on the inboard part of the handguard itself. So we kind of like these on some of our off-road bikes. You'll notice too that they're on as running lights. This bike does come from the factory with running lights in the front, meaning your stock turn signals are on as running lights. We wanted to kind of duplicate that on this bike. So in order to do that, when we wire in the LED turn signals, we also installed a 12 O'Clock Labs running light adapter, which we do also sell. Those are on the website. And you wire those in when you install the front LED turn signals, and that'll allow these to work both as turn signals and running lights. I kind of like it. It's just a little bit more light on the bike, and probably makes you a little bit more visible on the street. So I kind of like the running lights myself. And I'll kind of show you how the turn signals work. One other thing I will mention is typically when you install LED turn signals on a motorcycle, you're going to get a faster flash, and you will with these if you just install these by themselves. So what we've done is we've installed a 12 O'Clock Labs fixed rate turn signal flasher that mounts up under the headlight shroud. It's a real simple plug and play little module that will make these flash nice and slow. If you don't install that, these will flash about twice as fast as what they're flashing here now. And I know the bike does come with LED turn signals stock, but there's something slightly different about it because if you install these on the bike, they will flash fast. So some people are okay with that. If you want the slower flash rate, definitely get that fixed rate turn signal flasher. So that's the handguards. And again, I'll just mention real quick, it's the Zeta Pro Armor handguards, top triple clamp mount, Zeta XC protectors in red, and then the optional integrated LED turn signals. Also 12 O'Clock Labs running light adapter and 12 O'Clock Labs fixed rate turn signal flasher. Okay, in that last video I did, we still had the stock Renthal 7/8 inch handlebars on the bike. We have since upgraded to Pro Taper contours, which are oversized 1 1/8 inch handlebars. We've done the CR high bend on this bike. And then to mount those up, you know, since the bike has 7/8 inch handlebar mounts on it, you do also need to install these Pro Taper universal rubber handlebar mounts, which is the black piece attached to the top triple clamp there. While we were doing all this, we decided to replace the stock rubber cones. I'll kind of show you here. This is the stock handlebar mounts. You'll see the black rubber cones there. We replaced those with Pro Taper's upgraded bar mount cones, which are probably a little bit more durable than these. They're made out of like a high performance polyurethane, which is probably going to resist crash damage a little bit better than these OEM cones will. Supposed to give you a little bit better feel, durability, stuff like that over the stock cones, and they'll still maintain that that vibration dampening properties. So you can't really see them here, but they're installed in there. They just replaced those stock rubber bar cones. So those are called the Pro Taper bar mount cones. Direct replacement for the stock ones. Really easy to install, you know, when you're installing these handlebar mounts. Talk about the bends, the different bends available on these Pro Taper handlebars. We went with the CR highs. I like those on a lot of the bikes. The combination of that CR high with the Pro Taper handlebar mounts, it raises the overall handlebar height compared to stock about 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch. I kind of like a little bit taller bar. So the handlebar mounts themselves, the Pro Tapers, are maybe 1/4 inch, a little bit more taller than the stock bar mounts, and then this particular CR high bend is a little bit taller than the stock bars, so you get about 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch. The different bends that these handlebars come in, definitely a personal preference thing. It's kind of what you're used to. I like the CR highs. On this other Supermoto project bike, we did a slightly different bend I'll talk about here in a second. But I like the CR high bend myself. Still works with the stock cables and everything. You don't have to modify anything like that. It will still work with the triple clamp mounts for the handguards. You know, if you raise your handlebars too high, you run out of adjustment on those triple clamp mounts. So you end up having to use handlebar clamps if you go too high on the bars. So this particular setup, you know, works well with what we're doing here. As far as grips go, we run Pro Taper pillow top grips on most of our bikes. It's just my personal favorite grip. And then you'll see the red Honda grip donuts. Those are factory effects grip donuts that just give you a little bit more cushioning on the inside part of the grip itself. I'll show you here. The Pro Taper pillow tops, we've got the standard pillow tops, which come in this gray color. That's the only color you can get them in. If you want black grips, we do sell the Pro Taper pillow top light, which is just a similar grip pattern, but it's going to be a little bit thinner grip, not quite as much cushioning. So those are two grips that we offer. And again, that's factory effects grip donuts in red there. The Honda logos on them. One other thing I'll mention, this is something we do a lot of times when we're adding handguards or, you know, replacing handlebars. We'll replace the stock throttle tube, which is typically a plastic throttle tube. We'll replace it with an aluminum throttle tube. And the one we use is a G2 Tamer throttle tube. And I'll kind of talk about the advantages of upgrading the throttle tube. One of the advantages is when you're going to install handguards, typically what you're going to have to do if you stick with your stock plastic throttle tube, you're going to have to cut the end off of it. So you have to modify it a little bit in order to get the inserts into the end of the handlebar. These aluminum throttle tubes will come with a removable end cap, so you just pop that off and you can get the handguard inserts in. So that's kind of a nice feature. You don't have to modify anything. The G2 throttle tubes are probably the best throttle tubes on the market. They're a lot smoother than the stock throttle tube. They have Delrin bushings in there and stuff, which just makes it a lot more smoother feeling throttle, if you will. And we do the Tamer throttle tubes on a lot of these off-road bikes. And what I mean by Tamer is the throttle tube has a cam that has a reduced radius initially in the early part of the rotation, and it actually requires a slightly farther rotation to achieve the same throttle body opening position as your stock throttle. So what this does is that slightly longer pull, it kind of makes a big difference in control as the power is rolled on, and it gives you a little bit better throttle control, especially off-road if you're riding technical trails and stuff like that. Then after about half throttle, the radius increases or kind of ramps up to keep that overall rotation required to reach full throttle about the same as the stock throttle tube. So you're really going to notice it kind of in the first half of the throttle rotation. It's really good for off-road bikes, and on some of these fuel-injected bikes, they tend to have a little bit of a snatchy throttle. You know, the on-off throttle is kind of abrupt. It kind of helps with that as well. This CRF450L does have a little bit of a snatchy throttle, so kind of another reason to use this Tamer throttle tube. So we generally, like I said, we kind of install the aluminum throttle tubes when we're doing the handguards and the handlebars. It's just a lot easier to do all this stuff at the same time. That way you're not, you know, having to take the thing apart again just to install a throttle tube. So just kind of keep that in mind. It's a G2 Tamer throttle tube. And like I said, these are the best throttle tubes on the market, in my opinion. We use them on all the off-road bikes. A couple of the street bikes we use them on. So highly recommended. It's a G2 Tamer throttle tube. So that's the handguards, handlebars, grips, stuff like that. Last thing I'll talk about is the mirrors. We did replace the stock mirrors with these double take enduro mirrors, which they thread into the stock perches, and these utilize ram mounts, which you'll see there. The advantages to these over the stock mirrors, if you drop the bike or crash the bike, you know, your stock mirrors could actually snap off, possibly at the perch, which could, you know, cause damage, especially on the brake side. So a lot of people get rid of the stock mirrors right away. These use the ram mount, so if you hit these when you drop the bike or whatever, they'll kind of just rotate out of the way and not break, you know, like the stock ones would. They're also very easy to take off the bike if you're going to be riding mostly just off-road and you want to just take the mirrors off. You just twist the little thing there, loosen everything up. You don't need any tools or anything. You can take the mirrors off, throw them in your tank bag or throw them in your backpack or whatever. You can also fold these down out of the way, you know, if you want as well. If you want to leave them on the bike, you can kind of fold them down along the handlebar, and that way they're not as vulnerable as when they're, you know, when you have them in the upright position, you know, when you're riding on the street. So that's the double take enduros. We use these on, you know, all the off-road bikes pretty much. So that's the way we've got the dual sport bike set up so far. Now I'll go over and talk about the Supermoto, because we do have that set up a little differently. We are still running our CRF450L Pro handguard package, which is the Zeta Pro Armor handguards. On this bike, we've gone with a different color on the aluminum. We've gone with the black. Still has the black plastic bumpers screwed to the side of the handguard. And then we're still doing the top triple clamp. And you'll notice on this bike, we're still got the stock front turn signals, and those triple clamp mounts will work fine with the turn signal brackets. So that's the main part of the handguard. On this bike, we've got the Zeta XC Pro plastic protectors screwed to the front of the handguard. And those are the same shape as the Zeta XC protectors, but they're just a slightly larger overall size. So a little bit bigger. And these, if you want the Pro XC Pro protectors, they only come in white or black. And they still do have the holes in them. If you want to order the optional LED turn signals like we have on the other bike, you can still use those on this XC Pro protector. Okay, and handlebars on this bike, Pro Taper contours as well. And on this bike, we went with the Woods High bend, just a slightly different bend, about the same height as the CR Highs that we had on the other bike. Just wanted to make sure these work. We run these on quite a few of the bikes, and I like this Woods High bend, so these will work. Same handlebar mounts, Pro Taper universal rubber handlebar mounts. And on this bike, instead of in those Pro Taper rubber cones, you'll see under the handlebar mount is that red aluminum piece. What those are is Zeta rubber killers. Those replace the rubber cones with a solid aluminum piece. You know, some riders like those as opposed to the rubber mounts. We do it on a lot of the Supermotos. So it's just something a little different you can do if you want more of a kind of a solid feel, I guess. It doesn't dampen as much as those rubber cones. We just, since we're going to be mostly using this bike on the street as a Supermoto, I kind of, like on our DRZ 400s, we do the rubber killers on those. I just like that kind of feel a little bit better. You don't have to do those. You can stick with the stock rubber cones if you want, or do the Pro Taper rubber cones, but on this bike we did the rubber killers. The Woods High bend, about the same height as the CR High, so these are going to be, you know, 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch taller overall than the stock handlebar setup. Pro Taper pillow top grips as well, same as the other bike, and then those Factory Effects grip donuts. We also did the G2 tamer throttle tube on this bike. And as far as mirrors go, we've got rid of the stock mirrors, and we're running our Supermoto street mirror package, which are these clamp-on mirrors that clamp onto the handlebars. over near the controls, and then they mount kind of up under the controls. I use these on all the Supermotos. It's probably my favorite mirror for street riding. Really, really good visibility. They don't vibrate at all. Very simple to mount up to the bike, and they just look a lot better since they're kind of tucked down out of the way and you don't really see them. So that's how we have our Supermoto set up. Slightly different than the off-road bike. Kind of shows you the different variations you can do with, you know, these Zeta Armor handguards and the Pro Taper handlebars. Now, what we're going to do next on our CRF450L Dual Sport, so I'll do this an update video at some point. We are going to install a Scott's steering stabilizer. So that's going to change the way we've got the handlebars mounted, since those come with their own bar mounts to raise the handlebars up so that you can fit the steering stabilizer under it. We'll probably have to do a different handlebar bend. These will probably end up being too tall. You know, these CR highs will end up probably being too tall once we install their taller riser. So kind of stay tuned for that video. We're going to get one of those Scott stabilizers, steering stabilizers in here probably in the next month or so, install on this bike. I think that's about it. Again, I'll just mention the websites. Our online store, soloracer.com. If you go there, navigate to the CRF450L part section, you'll find all these handguards and mirrors and handlebars and stuff that we sell for the CRF450L. You'll find them there. Our email address is also on the website. If you have any questions or anything, you can email us. We'll get back to you as soon as we can. And I think that's about it. So I'll do another update video here if we change anything else as far as the handlebars and handguards and stuff like that. We'll also be doing an updated video here shortly with more details on the other modifications that we've done to both of these bikes. I just kind of wanted to talk about handguards, handlebars, stuff like that on this video. All right, I think that's about it. Again, it's Brett from SRmoto with our Honda CRF450L project bikes. Thanks for watching.